Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Creative Insider podcast number 55 with me, Georgi. In this podcast episode, my guest was András Káldos, co-founder of the Hungarian high-end architectural visualization company Brick Visual. In this conversation, András unveiled how the company was started, how it was initially, and all the business decisions and hard work to grow from 3 to 70 employees and spread in different businesses such as architectural visualization, software production, real estate, and education. But before we start the conversation, I want to thank you for listening to this podcast, and I want to remind you that if you want to support us, you can do that for free by just subscribing to the platform you're listening to and leaving a good review if possible. Another great way to support us is just by spreading the word with your friends, colleagues, or family, and by following our social media channels, which are at TCI Podcast or the LinkedIn page, The Creative Insider. If you want to go a little deeper, in the description below you'll find a link to Patreon, where you will be able to support us with $5 a month or the wish from you amount of money. As soon as possible, we will be also providing some perks for all the patrons. So, enough with introductions. Thank you very much and enjoy the conversation with András Káldos.
Just like that. The whole world stops just like that.
Hello, András. How are you? Welcome to the Creative Insider.
Hi, nice to meet you. It's a really great honor to participate in this podcast. It's the first time for me to participate in a podcast, so I'm a podcast virgin, we can say that.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And it was, I told you also through our emailing, because people don't know, but to make an interview like this, it seems very easy because everybody gets the interview every Monday, but before there is a lot of work we do to approach the guests and organize the whole thing. And you were the really dream guest, because I sent you the invitation. After a couple of days I got everything I needed back, signed, booked, scheduled the recording date. So thank you very much for being so disciplined.
What can I say? I'm a super effective guy. Not really. I have lots of people helping me. So
Yes, but so you can introduce a little bit yourself for the people who don't know you. So who are you? What you do?
So my name is András Káldos. I'm the CEO of Brick Visual from the beginning, so 9 years of Brick. I'm one of the founders of Brick. Originally, I have, as most of the people in architecture visualization field, I have an architecture background. Actually, I attended 2 different architecture schools. I still consider myself also a little bit as an architect, although I'm not doing that profession anymore. But, I'm a proud architect, and I still think about myself like that also. And after the university, basically, I immediately started to do architecture visualization, freelancing on the Hungarian market. Because, by the way, I'm from Hungary. Actually, during the university as well, I was actively working. So it was like 8-hour schoolwork and 8 hours long schoolwork, and then 8 hours long working for architecture offices, helping them in competitions to do the visualization, or helping them also doing the design concept for the competition. And yeah, as soon as I finished in the university, it was so obvious that basically I continued what I started during the university. So it was an easy choice. I didn't have this urge to do architecture work. I wanted to do creative work. That was the concept, and for me, architecture visualization was that. And yeah, I just started to do freelancing. Actually, I spent half a year together with my wife after the university firstly in Paris, and then another half year in London, which was a fun period. I didn't find job there, or I didn't want anyway find job, because it was just a temporary thing. It was not because of me, because of my wife. She had the opportunity for a fixed period of time to go there. It was really fun, and in the meantime, I learned more or less proper English, as you hear, not perfect, but with additional sign language, I can
I
make
think you're good.
myself understand.
I think you're good.
And yeah, after that, I came back and continued my freelancing career for a while. And then I was approached by startup company called Real 5D. At that time, that was 2010. Yes, it was still like crisis, economical crisis, especially in Hungary, also in real estate. It was not so good. I had jobs, so I was not worried. But this company approached me, a cool startup company, and they had a quite ambitious idea that they're doing this. They developed a software which was an interactive 3D walkthrough software. So imagine like simplified Unreal type of software, but it's web-based, and you could log in to that, space what you modeled up, and then someone else could also log into that space and meet there. It's like I don't know if you know the MMORPG games. It looks like that, but for Archviz, and it was really ambitious at that time, especially. And then I joined their team for 1.5 years, and I continue and help them to develop that software. Of course, not programming, but helping them visually improve the quality of the things what they do, and adding lots of things to that software. And then it was a too early idea, and we saw that it's not going to succeed. I still believe it's a cool idea, but maybe it would be still early to do something like this. And so therefore I quit it. But there I get to know Attila Chalowski. I hired him in that company. And another guy who was a sales guy. And I said that, okay, this is not gonna work out well, and I quit it. And I told the guys that I would like to do just a simple architecture visualization company, working, stay here, working from Budapest, but not working on the Hungarian market. There was 2 reasons why I didn't want it. One of them is that, at the time the market was still not so good because of the economic crisis. The other reason is that simply I wanted to do working on cool architecture, which excites me, and that's pretty simple. I guess it's everyone's goals who is doing architecture visualization and has architecture background has the same goal. And I knew that I won't find it in the Hungarian market. Also, actually, it was also another reason is that I had an idea to go abroad, and actually I applied to a job in London at that time. And we almost decided in my wife to go to London, and probably my career would be really different. But at the moment when I wanted to accept that job offer for a good architecture visualization studio, my wife said that she's pregnant and let's stay home. and yeah, then all the other options was out. And to be honest, that was the reason why we established Brick, because we didn't want to go and leave Hungary because of this. But it was a happy moment for me, because actually I wanted to build something. So I didn't want to be like an employee. I was a little bit, I think, more ambitious. So it was a good luck. And then we established Brick with zero money, as usual, with some connections. And we started to build up. We started from my brother's. My brother has a little office in the city center in Budapest, and actually we built up a little office space in the hallway of that office. So we started to work. We already have a little portfolio, so we put together what we have, some computers and together with Attila and some connections what we had from the Hungarian market. And we immediately said to this third sales guy that, okay, we have to find a way to find projects not from Hungary, but from Western Europe or from other countries. And that was the beginning, basically. I'm talking too much, no?
No, you did a great introduction of yourself. And now you have said a lot, and now I have a lot of questions because we need to. I know what the rough story of the beginning, but we need to put a little bit of structure in it. I love the way that you said we started with zero money, but you started with zero money, and I guess with a lot of talent, because as casually as you say, we started Brick. Now Brick Visual is, I don't know, one of the top, I would say top 5 companies probably in the world that make images. And I mean, nobody that, I mean, I don't want to offend anyone, but I was looking into a lot of architectural visualization companies when I was a student, because I figured out that all these beautiful images that we see on the architectural websites are not made from the architects, but are made from other companies. And I started because one assistant of mine at the university showed us the work of Mir, and then I figured out the D2, and then from the D2 I figured out all the companies and so on. And when I saw the first time I opened your website was when you have done, I guess, an image for Big, or for, I don't remember for which office was it, but was this geometrical curved roof, glass roof, this image that was also awarded. And I was like, okay, this is sick. This is unreal.
And also was the architecture design was amazing. Actually, it was not for that well-known company. It was a really cool Swedish company who designed that building. And actually we won A+ awards. I don't know if you know.
Yes. This is how I found out about you. Actually, I've seen and then it's so funny because actually it's a great way to do research for architecture, going through architectural visualization companies. Because when you go on their website, they, for example, as yours, you'll see all the images, and then you'll see for whom those images were done. So you can go to the architect's website. And so it was so funny because sometimes I would see these amazing images, and then I go to the website of the architect, and the website of the architect, it's really, really bad. So I was like, okay, this guy shouldn't get images from them. But all this to say that it's curious to know a little bit more structure about like the whole talent that's behind the start of Brick, and about you personally. So you said you have an architectural background and you have studied in 2 architectural schools. I'm first curious, like how in your life you decided you wanted to be a creative, because I think that most of the people who has no idea what is it about start in a very naive way. And where did you study? What was your education in general?
That was quite early, actually, and maybe I don't know if it's a unique story or not. I like it. Actually, it was because of my father. He's not working in the creative industry. He was a librarian. Now he's
Retired?
Retired. Thank you. Sorry. And but he had some good sense for drawing and this kind of things. So he actually was just showing me, I don't know why, when I was in the school, showing me the how to draw a cube, in perspective, just for fun. And then I, for some reason, I was started to, it was interesting for me, and then I started to draw a cube. And then actually he's always telling me nowadays this story that once he wake up like early morning on the Sunday, usually I was this late sleeper, so they have to wake me up at 11 in the that they wake up, and at that Sunday I was like sitting on the staircase, and on the staircase on the wall there was this I don't know, this drawing about the streets. And so in a Sunday morning, my father found me sitting and drawing on the staircase, and drawing copying a picture of about the street. What it was hanging on the wall, it was a nice graphic something, and I was tried to repeat the perspective and the logic of the perspective on that image, and I couldn't stop after that. I draw lots of these still lifes, with an apple, and it was fun with just a graphic drawing. And then I was not super successful in the elementary school and in the secondary school, but it was okay. I was not really failing, but it was not really super successful me. And they thought it's a good idea, and I liked it, so I went to a drawing school, and I found it even more exciting. I did nice drawing, so I did lots of drawing about naked people, actually. So I have that this kind of anatomy drawing skills background as well. And actually it's slowly switched during the secondary school to start to practice to get to the university. I wanted to go to mostly to art schools. So there is like 2 different type of architecture school. Actually, the end diploma is the same, so it's the same, give you the same permissions and everything, but one of them is like more like an artistic approach, the other one is more like an engineering approach, and I wanted to do to the art school. So actually already before I finished the secondary school, I was really preparing to get to the university, and I was not selected, and I couldn't go there, and it was a big disappointment for me, because I really wanted to go to an art school. There was a big limitation, because these schools worked at that time with a really limited number of people, like 10 people in one work group. So they were only choose like 10 people to start in this art school. So I was not chosen, and I tried it twice. And it was it was a sad story or sad frustrating story for me. But in the meantime, I get to because of my great my results were get better in the secondary school. Actually, I get to a normal, really good school. Well, more engineer focused, but still, teaching the same thing. And I liked that for a while, but then I lost my, let's say, patience. The reason for that, because I like the teachers there. I like what most of the things what we learn there. Other half was, I thought it was too much mathematics and things which was not that interesting for me or triggering. But I think most of the frustration came from the fact that I didn't give up working for architects. So from the first year, I worked constantly with architects on projects, and I didn't have time to do this school where their expectations were high, and you had to go to, do lots of work and work in the meantime. And that was frustrating for me. And I knew that already at that time that I want to work. That's real life. That's something what I should do instead of sitting and do another exam in mathematics to be after that to do architecture as an art form or even visualization work. So I said that I want to continue it. And what I did, that I said that I'm giving up, and I went I put together a really strong portfolio together with my schoolwork and together with my
professional,
not just schoolwork, but what I did, like commissioned things. And I took it and I went to this art school, literally knocking a little bit on the door, and say that, hey, I'm attending, and the 3 years I spent in this school, and I want to come to you. You didn't want me 3 years ago, but here is my portfolio. Please look at it because I want to continue here. And they said, okay, you can come. Join to this. I don't know. It was so it was a little bit cut it for me like this.
But did you then study at the art school afterwards, art academy? That's not did you?
Yeah, but it's the same architecture fundamentals. So at the end, you get the same degree.
Okay.
It's just actually I could continue everything, all the what I don't know the English name, the
the exams, everything, the same
exams
degree.
And everything. I could continue that, so I didn't have to restart the whole thing from the beginning because it was a continuation. But the advantage of this course, it maybe didn't have that good name in Hungary, but for me, it was amazing and perfect. I had time to do creative work outside the school hours. Also, it helped me to improve also in the school, this work. Lots of experiments, lots of experimental architecture. And I had time also to do commission work for studios. It was perfect for me. It's not for everyone, I can say that, but for me, I was super happy, and they were super happy with me. So, yeah.
I think I understand you because I have had the same experience because I grew up in Italy. And I've said it already on the podcast that university was like your first school. And then I came here to Germany. In a university in Germany, they have a school which is called Fachhochschule, which is not university, but it's supposed to teach you that at the end you have the same title, but it's supposed to be for the less smart students, so to say, or something like that. I don't know. They define it like this here, or this is what I understood. But I love the school because it was more applied sciences, like more practical instead of theoretical. And I've never been like this kind of maths guy or, like all these things that are not visible, because architecture, it's about producing something architectural. So for me, it was nicer to come here. But you said that you have started to work since the beginning for also offices. I'm curious, how did you manage to start at the beginning of your studies to get work from architects? How could you be helpful, like so fresh?
Yeah, I understand the question. And I skipped one elements of the beginning of the story, and that's my fault. It's that in the meantime, while I was drawing in the staircase, I had another interest, and that's 3D Studio Max in DOS. That was not Max, sorry, 3D Studio DOS, because at that time it was not 3D Studio Max. So actually, in pretty early, someone showed me. Actually, that's also a funny story. Who showed me? One of my friends showed me. Still, we are really good friends of that guy, and he became a finance guy, and now he's working for me, and he's our financial controller. But he showed me 3D Studio in DOS and showed me how cool is it. We were like geeking around and playing, I don't know, Doom network, on serial ports, and all the old school PC gaming stuff. And he showed me that, oh, look at this, how cool is this 3D program, and it was still in DOS mode. I remember, so it was not Windows. And even in time I was like improving that, and then Windows came, and I started to do some little stupid things in Max. And at the end, these two things came together for me quite early, because I could draw. I had the skills to understand, like, perspective. I had the skills to draw nice things, and in the meantime, I because of this hobby of mine, I had this knowledge as well, and these two things came together really nicely, super early. So as soon as I finished the secondary school, I started to work with an interior designer, not studio, one old guy who was really doing really nice interior designs, furnitures here in Hungary. Good, projects like libraries and this kind of things. And at that time, he still, drawing this stuff, also the detail drawing and everything. And he needed someone who cheap and could do nice work. And I started to do this simple drawing stuff, and then I showed them that, by the way, I can do this visualization. And he was like, what is this? And I think at the time there was no V-Ray around, just Brazil. That's another render engine. And I learned everything. I think it was developed by Splatterfish. I'm not sure it's anymore exists.
I've heard about Brazil from I think Tudor from the Panopticon mentioned this first rendering engine back in the days, and then he said that from Brazil he was trying out very hardly to make it look even better in Photoshop.
That was a terribly slow render engine. But still, I could do decent stuff. And actually, the guy did like an exhibition from these renders. Lots of people saw it, and I was there, and I was credited, and I was like, not even. I think I was the first year in the university, so it was, it was I would say pure luck also. So that these things came together and these interests are met like that. And I never had doubts. The only point when I had doubts in the things what I want to do is that after I switched school and I struggled for a while. Also, I was stuck a little bit in World of Warcraft at the time, so that was also not a positive thing. So. But that's just reality.
So basically, you spend a lot of your early days in front of the computer, from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a geek anymore, but I was a geek. Yeah.
Well, I guess now you don't have the time to be so much a geek, so you have to. Yeah. The geeky stuff you do must be productive for your company, I guess.
Exactly, and I lost my patience as well. To be, if you want to be a geek, you have to be patient in front of the computer. I'm not at all, not anymore.
Yeah, I remember for me, I played, like, I've never been a very big video games player, but I played also for a brief time World of Warcraft with my friends at school. But since I started studying architecture and then working and doing the two things together as you did, I was like, I hated sitting in front of the computer in my free time. In my free time, I just wanted to go outside, meet people, visit shops, and or just walk around. And I thought it's such a nonsense to sit for me in front of the computer, because I have to do that for work, so to say, and I don't want to do it in my free time.
Yeah, that's completely true, and you are right. And actually, I realized it quite early after, like, when I switched to this art school. I think from that point, I totally gave up playing games, and I lost totally patience. Sometimes I'm still playing a little bit, but I don't feel like I'm losing my patience, and it's just waste. I feel the same way. It's a waste of time. So.
Yeah, like and if you get very involved into what you do, you think, oh my God, I'm spending 1 hour in the computer. In this 1 hour, I could do one more project or one more thing. So it feels like a little off for me personally. And so you started so early on in this field, and I guess you said they weren't you paying much, but probably for you were good money at that point in time in your life. And then you switched schools, completed the second school, and then you become an architect. And what happened then? Like you then continued working for where you were already supporting as a student, or did you start a real deal architectural job? What happened after you finished architectural school?
After I finished the architecture school, and it was 2009. I continued that freelancing job what was already existing for me, working with the same clients. I had some connections in Budapest, also in the city where was the university. I found some new doors to open, and I started to work with them. So it was a fluent continuation. But also in 2009, when I received the degree, I received actually a diploma award as well, a quite well-known. It's called, for Hungarians, it sounds really good. For non-Hungarians, it doesn't sound at all interesting, but it's called Junior Prima Primissima kind of award, which is a really well-known award for in Hungary, not just in architecture, but there are lots of areas where they give this award, and I won this award with my thesis. So I did lots of experimental architecture, so it was like a super extravagant something what I did for my thesis, but they were like super grateful, and it turned out well. And in 2009, I received also this award, which was also a significant amount of money. And then I did freelancing, and as I said, like, my wife had this job opportunity to go to London, and after that to Paris. So I spent like 1 year, little bit freelancing to Hungary, but that go with my wife, visiting these cities and living there a little bit, learn English, work a little bit, hang out and chill. So it was not that super active for me. I was like this, addition to my wife at that time, but it was all right. I relaxed a little bit at that time, and when we got back, I continued the freelancing job to these architects' offices. Just imagine, like, competition. They have a competition, and I had this small bare-bone computer, and I brought this computer with me, also monitor, and sit down in the office and start to help in, I don't know, even in the early design concept, a little bit designing as well, which was super exciting, and then do the renders, modeling, or the section drawings, but in a clever graphical way. What was my advantage in the office, and I did that a lot. But it was also challenging because you can burn out super quickly. I don't know if you ever did architecture competitions. Yeah, you did, and that's that how you do it. It's 48 hours straight work, and then you sleep. And if you do it, repeating it constantly with different offices, you getting tired super quickly and burn out. It was exciting, but I knew that it has to end. and it was a good timing because Real 5 they came in the picture, the startup company what I explained you earlier, and that's it.
I did competitions too, and I'm smiling because I did it so I came here to Germany, and I came here because I didn't think in Italy I will have any chance to practice what I'm studying for. And after 4 months only, I figured out a job as a student, as an intern, so to say, with a 20 hours a week contract. Because here in Germany, students have this advantage that they can be hired. The companies will pay less taxes on these students, and they are allowed to work only 20 hours during the semester. And in Germany, you have a semester break, which depending on the school, you're more or less free. And you can work full time during that period of time. And so during that period of time, I was supporting competition in the office, but I had a contract per hour. So for me, when I was when I was doing these crazy weekends, for me it was like, oh, okay, right now I just earned 400 euros, so I'm good. Give me more.
But that's a good deal. But it's a good concept. I mean, we didn't have this kind of things in Hungary, and I was like pissed off because I know that it would be much, useful if they would support these kind of things and support my time to do real job and learn from it and be there on the construction, look at it. I could draw by hand these section detailed drawings about buildings, but I didn't have any idea how this is look like in reality. And then actually that's the most funny thing. I went from the engineer school to this art school, and the guy who teaching like all the detailed sections, like the technical things about the building, he was like, oh yeah, these are stupid artists, it's I give up. So what he did, it was actually clever because I learned much more about structures, engineering. He just brought. He had like several construction what he led, and he just every occasion we went out and he showed us lots of things, like how things happening now. This building is this phase. Look at this. This is how I don't know. A terrace and the wall connections should look like in reality. And I thanks for that, actually I managed to I just finished it was a 2 years long project. We finished to build up a really amazing family house for ourselves, and I was able to manage that because I know what the shit they're doing there, so I could challenge them, and it was super useful. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think that people who are still studying, they should transition as quick as possible to the professional world, because I've learned so much about side things also, like how to organize your work, how to organize your time, how to be more efficient, how to be more productive, to create your a workflow, which as a student you do, by yourself, by accident. I'm gonna ask you one question. I don't know if it's too personal. I'm gonna try, because I guess that everybody will be curious. What you were doing what was this possibility that your wife got to be 1 year abroad, and is that for work, for education? How it come that you had?
She got hired by GE. GE, is a huge, I think the biggest company in the world, GE, she got this opportunity to participate in this management leadership program. I think that was the name of that, and this program was an amazing program, actually. And what happened, and she worked for a fixed amount of period of time in different positions inside GE and different branch of GE, like GE Money Bank. She was like an HR person, and then she went to other place and doing a totally other. And the concept was that there was like full of trainings, and the concept was that they hired these not so experienced but talented managers and train them to be leaders quickly, and young manager, successful manager, and she participated in that. That was amazing opportunity. It was amazing because all our costs was covered. It was a great, interesting experience to see how a huge corporate have how much money they have. It's crazy. And they, we were like 20x years old, both of us, and we were like in the four season hotel for I don't know, till we get the apartment, and eating every day, go out. The company covered it, and it was in London, and it was like amazing. So yeah.
And after these adventures, you went back to Hungary and to Budapest, and now you said you joined a company that was trying to do this sort of online based CGI meeting rooms. What was your role there?
I was leading the production part. So, when we had to create, because this company did two things: delivering content for clients, but that content was based on the development what they did. So it was actually, at the end, it was a service, but also it was a software development, because they used this software to deliver the content to the client. Therefore, I had two kind of roles in the startup. One of them leading the production, doing content, visual content based on the software, and the other one is to helping in the development of this software from of course from the 3D point of view. Imagine like you have an engine, not Unreal, not nothing. It was a self-made based DirectX 8 quite old engine, and there was an editor what the guys developed there earlier. And this editor was, just imagine like the Unreal Engine editor, but of course it was a really simplified thing. And we had to develop that and put more visual tools in it, figure out the way how we can bake light. So actually at the end it looked really good, because we found a way how to bake lights in V-Ray and feed it in this engine. So we baked V-Ray, we did V-Ray light maps, and we baked it to this engine, and the engine used these light maps, and they look pretty cool. It was a static lighting, so there was no dynamic lighting in it, but in the meantime it looked pretty well, because it was baked lights from V-Ray. And it was super hard, because at that time there was no really streamlined process of how to bake lights, especially with an engine which was not an existing standard, and it was a self-made engine. So I added lots of features together, of course, with the programmer to this engine. I said that, we did a demo for, showing Miss Mondero Pavilion, and we baked the lights, V-Ray lights in it, and it looked pretty cool. But I wanted to have some fog effect that we didn't have anything for, for this real-time engine thing. And then, I tell them that, now you have to program for me, particle generator. And then, we discuss how to apply and what, and then we set up something where it looked like a fog. And it was exciting, because it was not just, figuring out the software, but create actually these features in the software, and it was super cool. Yeah, it's a super cool experience.
So for example, like these lights, so you basically created like assets for the software through V-Ray. So you created these light maps, and did you gather some actual at least some basic coding knowledge through it, or you were
not
just
really? I had the support. I did some a little bit, but not too much.
You were just the guy that were say these things needs to know to do these things, and they were like, code writing.
It was not that easy, but yeah, it worked like that. It was amazing, with these colleagues to work together. And it was a good kind of approach, because I know how the things will look good. Programmers doesn't. And they understood me. I mean, they understood each other, which was really cool. It's just to repeat it, like what happened is that we modeled everything in 3D Max. We set up the lighting in V-Ray, the same way how you do a static render. But before, we didn't do the render. We just exported the model, imported in this self-developed engine plus editor, like how you exporting basically in Unreal and to these data splits. But of course, at that time it was much more complicated. And then in 3D Max with V-Ray, we render out light maps for this model. We unwrap it, and then we put the light maps on the
software.
In the software. That's it.
And then you could meet other people online inside this.
Yeah, it had many features.
I think it could be a great business idea right now to make, like, I don't know, digital rooms where you can meet people because we cannot meet. Maybe the purpose they wanted to do back in the days was the wrong one, and now it can be handy to reuse it in a different way. So I wanted to ask you: is this company still alive, or is it completely dead? And why did you leave the company?
I'm not sure if it's live in that form. I don't really follow that. Actually, we had some not agreeing on lots of important things with the owner there. So the goodbye was not perfect. But at the end, we closed the things in a ethical way. So we still, at the end, we still like finished all the works. We spent much more time than that 1 month period at the end when we quit it. So we tried to close the thing. And actually, I remember at that time that then they found an investor as well, and they found other 3D artists. So actually, they survived that period when some of us left. It was needed. And, I don't want to say like bad things because that was, I think, an amazing idea and a good idea. And the guy was quite ambitious, but lots of things I was not really happy. And maybe it was just also a compatibility problem, but also it was, I learned a lot. And, I don't want to be rude again because it was probably also a compatibility problem, and which is also my fault. But I can tell honestly that I learned a lot how to be a really bad boss, a really bad one.
I mean, this is a very good point, because I think that people think sometimes you tend to think that some experience was bad, but I think that bad experience are also positive, because you learn exactly this, what you don't want. So when you have, I don't know, a bad boss, a bad job, a bad girlfriend, a bad whatever, a bad house, a bad flatmate, you just learn this what is not good for you, and so you can change it. And I've first time I read this concept was in one book, which is about the life of Mies van der Rohe. And he when he moved to the US, he said, I had 500 books, but I took only 50 with me, not because the other 450 weren't bad, they just taught me what I don't need. So it's the same.
Bad experiences like this I learned a lot from it, and it's a good thing, I think. And actually, just to jump to a future a little bit. Nowadays, I'm still struggling with certain, like I'd say, more junior people who has talent, but they came here as their first real work experience is here in Brick, in a company of 70 plus people with doing creative work. And actually, they never saw what is a bad employer, what is a good employer. They don't know the standards, what I can expect from an employer. We have to teach them what is okay and expect from your employer and what is not, how to behave as an employee. It's crazy, but that's the first time when they meet, and maybe they never saw a bad example how bad it can be an employer. And like Martin, who is our creative director in Brick, one of the key cornerstones of Brick, let's say that, he's always telling that for him, like he has this negative experience from earlier when the boss was like shouting and throwing them things and he has this bad experience, and he can compare it like, okay, how is it now? Is it better? Is it worse? Certain things. But if you don't have that experience and you coming here and break and work as this is the first working experience, then we're struggling to explain them that this is this is more than what you would receive averagely from an employer, and that's hard, that's challenging, but also understandable. It's just you need patience to do this.
Well, I don't know. I have changed also some jobs, and there were better opportunity, better situation, worse situation. But then I read one book. It's called Super Thinking, and then there was a very interesting concept in it that everything has sort of a trilogy of qualities that, and two of them will be always good, and one will be the worst. And for me, when you're an employee, you have three points as an employee. There is money, there is the kind of work you do, and there is the team spirit. So basically, you can have good work and good team spirit, but shitty money. You can have like a bad job, but good, like bad work you do, but then good money and good team. Or I don't know, you can have a good work, good money, but really bad team. So
that's the same concept as the triangulity of client expectation, like the quick, urgent work, the cheap, and what was the last one? I don't remember, but there was this triangle, and you cannot have like all of them. And it's the same concept.
Well, in this book, this concept of this trilogy was basically saying that can apply in many different things. You just have to look for these three points, and then generally two of them will be very good and one will be lower. And this is what I learned.
Makes sense. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, more or less. And so after this software company, you were close to go to London, but luckily you didn't. And this is how Brick started.
Yeah.
So I guess, for what you told me, so how long is the time that you have spent between starting university to the moment you started Brick? Because starting university,
I finished university in 2009, and we started established Brick in 2012. So 3 years. And one year was, as I mentioned, was this London and Paris project, and after that, little freelancing, and 1.5 year real 5D, and then in 2012.
I missed the year. Like you started university 2009.
No, I finished university in 2009. Sorry.
Oh, and
because
then,
I said started. No,
yes.
I finished university in 2009.
And you started 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years earlier. So 2004, 2005, you started.
I think altogether it took 6 years to finish the university, because I did 3 years in the first school, and then I repeated the third year again.
And then so 2003, and then you started a company. You said 2011. 12. So you have almost 10 years of, because I'm asking you that because this was the first moment when you started working for the field. So from there on, you started collecting, I don't know, people that you know eventually. So this is like the real beginning, because for me it counts, the moment you started being in the field, and until then it was almost 10 years. So you first started with Hungarian clients, right?
Yeah, just to go back to that topic, but because I think that's a really important thing, is that when I established Big, I had almost a decade-long experience in working, and most of it was architecture visualization, and I just want to really highlight this, because I really challenging the existing academic education system, and let's not go down that road because it has lots to discuss in this road. But I think I'm a good example why this is not working and why I'm successful today, because I can say I'm successful in Archviz, because I didn't went to that typical road on the university, not doing anything. I was fighting against it, and it worked much better. I had 10 years advantage compared to others because of this, that I didn't want to go on that path. And to be honest, I'm still really challenging overall the education system, not just in Hungary, but over in the world. I think there's a good TED talk about this. I don't know if you're listening this TED talk. How bad is the old school education academic approach that we basically from the beginning we splitting and segmenting people by the production year, let's say that, and how bad is that approach, and how it's really far away from real life, and how it's actually more and more detaching from the real need, what we need nowadays in when we close, when the technology is so quickly changing our life and our how can I say, our professions really super quickly, that this academic static approach, it's over. It's going to be not really useful stuff. 10 years from now, it will be a totally useless stuff. That's maybe it's a little bit radical, but that's my opinion today.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that, I mean, it needs some sort of upgrade or some form of change, because, for example, also the pandemic we're living now. I don't know how is the situation in Hungary with education, but I'm living in Germany, and so far kids were like in school, then back home because one gets sick, then the parents, then the whole class goes in quarantine. In Italy, there was a massive, because I grew up in Italy, my parents are still in Italy, I follow the news there. Also discussions how we can make students back to school in a safe way. And I mean, like, it's a pandemic. You cannot do it in a safe way. If we knew a safe way, we wouldn't be in a pandemic. And nobody. In the meanwhile, I started this podcast and I figured out this channel on YouTube with this guy. He's called Tom Buck, and he's a teacher in the US, and he's a teacher of media. He teaches students how to make videos, how to make audio, and he has created a room in their school where they stream lessons for with multi-camera system to stream lessons to the students. And I think why nobody talks about how to do a good quality streaming lesson for the students, instead of thinking how to bring back the students and doing it the old way. And for me, for example, this was a changing of paradigm, because nowadays you can do a very high quality streaming production for 1,000 or a couple of €1,000, which probably for a school in Italy or in Germany, it's totally fine to pay. And yeah, it's as you say, I don't know, we'll see. And in the meanwhile, we see a lot of people that are making a lot of money without any academical knowledge. For example, these new jobs, influencing and YouTube and social media, which is so underrated by the rest. So we'll see. It's an interesting, and also in architecture, we'll see how it's gonna change and how it's gonna develop.
It's gonna be a huge change, and it's gonna happen, and it has to. And it's good to hear that this you have this experience, or you saw like good examples, because it's needed. I don't see that much in Hungary in the school system, but my kids in. One of the kids are in the elementary school, and there are certain points which is promising, but overall it's still the same education system where how I did in the elementary school, and it just makes me sad, because today the world is really different, and it's much quicker, and it should be really different. Yeah, but sorry, I made a U-turn for your question, and to be honest, I don't remember the original question. What was it?
No, this was a good question, because you said like I asked you exactly that, how long it took you from the moment you started studying to the moment where you started the company, because I guess that the first period of time before transitioning to the worldwide market, you worked for Hungary in the beginning, right? So that you can make the
Yeah, we
living.
had some Hungarian connections, of course, because of freelancing, and then we had some projects there. But again, there was a third guy who was a founder of Brick, and he was like a salesperson, and basically we give him a mission to find sales agents, because really, the ambition from the beginning is to find good projects, international project, and with the ambition of doing. Um, cool visualization on cool projects. And maybe it was a naive idea, because of course at that time we had no idea how to do this, and we didn't have the proper business mindset. But you have to start it in a naive way, and it worked quite pretty well. So really quickly we had a couple of opportunities from the USA. We actually there was an agent in the USA, and then later on we found someone in the Norway, and they started to bring us projects, opportunities, doors to open, and we paid a lot for them. So we paid like 20% minimum commission for each work what we delivered, which is a lot. But if you consider, like, we did this in a small company in Hungary, where the life living cost is much lower compared to Norway, the price was, or even with the commission and additionally, it was a quite good competitive price, especially in a market like, for example, in Norway, when the only well-known architecture visualization studio was Mir, and we came in the picture as let's say, a cheaper Eastern European alternative of Mir. It sounds really bad, but that was the reality, and it was really far away from the quality of Mir, of course. But we were naive enough to jump in that and saying that we are almost Mir, just cheaper, which was not true, but still.
Well, you caught up on the quality of Mir. I don't know if you caught up on the prices.
That's a long ladder to climb to reach that point, but yeah.
And so, how long it took you between the moment that you started the company to go on the Norwegian market first, and then on and on?
I think it was quite quick. So when we started, in the first couple of months, we already received a couple of inquiries from the USA. Actually, we had a chance in the first year to work on projects in the World Trade Center. At that time they was still building that area, the new World Trade Center area, and different towers. And we had the chance to work on one of the interiors of the World Trade Center for a developer, and did an animation for them, and it was amazing, because there was like 3 guys from doing freelancing in Hungary, and then you do an animation in the World Trade Center. Of course, we got the job because it was like quite convincing. Again, cost level / quality, it was a good match, and because of that naive thing that we need agents, and we offered them 20% of all the things what we do, we found someone, and they started working. They started to earn money, not that much, but they started to earn money, and it was a good combination at that time. And of course, it was not really a super well thought business idea, but thinking back, it was probably the only and best choice what we made. But we were not aware of that it was a quite clever setup. But the most important, and I always explain the sales part and how we started to create these opportunities. It's also that of course we had a good skill already, and not just me, but Attila, the other founder, and as soon as we get these opportunities, we started to hire. So we intentionally wanted to build a company. We didn't have like, okay, maybe we are not going to receive more jobs, so let's be careful not to hire guy, or just let's try to freelancing with him, and if it turns out well, then let's try to do a little bit more. We were not really careful. We hired a guy who was fit, and we believe that we're going to receive more and projects, and we can build a proper revenue, and it worked. And we were lucky because we had talent, we had we could deliver good quality for those standards, or good ones, so comparable ones. So that was, of course, the key that Attila and me was, in a way, know our shit, let's say that way. And but also that we were lucky, because at that time it was still on this economical crisis in Hungary, and lots of architects, young architects, struggled in the architecture jobs, wanted to change their profession, going in the same path as I went, or Attila was experiencing the same path more or less as me. And they wanted to have an opportunity like this, so we hired them, and they were super talented, and we had a good pool of people in Hungary who could join us for these amazing good international projects, which was quite unusual at that time. So now today I realizing it, that it was one of the key factors that we decided at the beginning, that we are going to work as an Hungarian company on international waters. At that time, it was not really common overall that this is like a doable option. I don't know if there was any really active Romanian company or anyone in the Eastern European region who was building up a company like this, working with quite well-known international clients. That was not that time. That came later. So we realized this quite early phase. And I can tell it, like, maybe you know that company, other Hungarian well-known architecture visualization studio, ZOA. I'm not sure if you know them.
Yes.
They're quite well-known. Okay, you know them. And they actually reacted on this, because they were really successful in the Hungarian market, and they have, I think, an additional 10 years in their past. So they are like a much older company, and they are really successful today. I really admire them, and we have good connections. But they actually realized this opportunity much later, like 2, 3, 4 years later, or that was my feeling, or still my opinion. Maybe they will say differently, but that's my opinion about this. And because of that, we had this space to grow also in Budapest, and hire a couple of good, talented people from the market, and that was a good, not intentional, but good step by step to build up a company.
But so first of all, to Zoa, if they want to reply to your statements, are they welcome to come on the podcast too?
To be honest, I was a little bit. I was not afraid to say this, because we just we were just featured in Forbes, this business magazine in Hungary in April, and they wrote an article about brick. And actually, they asked Zoa what is their opinion about brick, and we know each other, and they told this, that we pull up so to develop a company, it came from the beginning for us, and that was really inspiring for them, and also that we realized quite early that we have to work on the international waters. So that's I'm confident that that's their opinion, because
Nice.
It was in the interview that they said that about us.
And everybody knows Forbes, so congrats on being on Forbes Hungary. But I'm also curious, you have this, you and your partner Attila, who, by the way, probably has the coolest name in Archviz. You started the company, and you were, as I understand, the technical guys on producing the images, and you were very talented, and you had this third person who was aware of sales. I don't know how much also of accountability, but and also I'm curious how. You said you started with your few computers you had in the office of your brother, but did you have some sort of, starting budget to say, okay, I'm going to try this company for, I don't know, a year, and if it's not successful, I can survive until a year, then I have to find a job. And did you have any awareness of what should be your prices? Because, for example, you were working as an employee in a company that was doing something that was not completely Archviz. They were selling something else. And also, to know, okay, I need this price, so I will have this profit, and with this margin, I can grow. And also, like, did you have any idea that, I don't know, this employee will bring me so? Because this is, as you said, in our education, we get all this education about how to do the things technically, how to produce, I don't know, architecture or images in your case. But then there is all this business side, which can balance it in a positive or in a negative way. And how was your business knowledge at that point, and how did it develop through?
Okay, that's a really good question, and I think there are several aspects of this what you should know. One of them is that yes, I don't have any business knowledge by education, but in my family, and I'm not talking about my mother and father. I'm talking about my wife's side of the family. My wife was, she was like high school sweetheart. So we knew that our life is connected really early in the high school, and I had a really good connection with my father-in-law. At the time, it was not father-in-law; it was just a really strict guy, business guy in mustache. But actually, I learned a lot about business. Just being with them, hearing them out, and when this all started, I was already had certain knowledge about this, and also certain help when we started to this question these obvious things what you're mentioning, like, okay, how much should we pay? And these things again came together quite good. How you build up a cost structure. Go to my wife, ask that, okay, that's what should I do, like how we should, and we put down paper, and we started to then ask my father-in-law, and just little talks on the weekend, 1 hour, like oh stupid you are. But it helped me to structure in a good way, and I had the knowledge of how the Hungarian market is, let's say, behaving in terms of salaries, because I was working in architecture studios. I had salaries there. I knew how much I can earn doing a job, how much I get paid, so I could compare it when I give an offer for a guy and saying that you're gonna earn this much in gross, this much in net. I knew that I'm going to offer him something which is, I know it's working because I have an earlier experience, and I could build up a good structure based on these costs, having a little help and gaining knowledge from this background, family background. And that was a good combination. So maybe we will continue the talk, and then we'll realize that nowadays I have 90% business and a really strong strategical business mindset, and 10% only artist and creative. I'm not saying creative because business can be creative, but 10% just
hands-on
work,
hands-on.
And then maybe you will stop now the Creative Insider podcast.
No, that's all about the Creative Insider, that we are insider and we want to understand what is it behind the scenes. But what I'm also curious is, you started 3 people with, of course, some structured background in the professional world. How did you build the infrastructure of the company right now? Because you started 3 people, now you're 70 people, and the infrastructure for 3 people can be completely different than the infrastructure for 70 people. And by infrastructure, I mean not only the computers, and I guess you have a rendering farm and all these hardware things, but also, setting it up. So at some point, I guess some IT guy joined the team or a company, who set up the workflow in order, not only about 3ds Max and whatever engine you use, but the way you put the folders of the projects together, the way you have you have so many things that are like, I don't know, if you're 70 people, maybe out of these 70 people 10 are not Archviz people, but only service, I don't know, you
more like 20.
Yeah. I was very, I compacted it a lot because you need. So I'm curious how this infrastructure got slowly expanded.
Maybe that's also an interesting fact that, yes, we have 70 plus people, but 50 something artists, and the rest is management, controlling, experts who doesn't have any idea about visualization. They have their knowledge in commercial and sales, for example, or financial controlling, or IT, or whatever I could continue. And yes, that's part of the deal. And that's why Brick today is successful, because we have a serious company structure and a serious management, not additionally lots of bunch of additional artists sitting in the management, but know-how and knowledge from other fields, not just in visualization. And yeah, I'm not leading anymore the sales and commercial, because I'm probably not the best guy to do that, and that's not my job. Somebody who has 2 decades of experience in sales and commercial leading that job now, and that's super important. But just to go back to the question, how we build, it was definitely constantly an organic growth. It means that it was not like, okay, we set up this and this system is going to work for 5 years. It was a constant change in everything. You can imagine that, like having a growth of, like, when you doubling or tripling your revenue year by year, and doubling or tripling your number of people year by year at the beginning. It was a constant moving from bigger office. There was one time when we moved half a year, like there was just 6 months passed, and we went to a bigger one, and taking the of course all the risks, financial risk of that, but it was a constant growth, and step by step. So what we earned as money and profit, we could invest immediately back. So at the beginning, we actually earned not so much. It was also a lucky situation that both of us was in a position that we earned okay as a mid-level employee, but we were not really earning that much at that time. We invested a lot of money back to hire the next guy, and put a workstation under it, and buy a workstation, and go step by step. And in the meantime, what happened? We had 10 artists and a big chaotic whatever. And then we started to, okay, this is the really good guy. He should be in charge of, taking care of the production stuff, and we should have probably an admin girl who is helping us in the papers, which was like this, and no structure in it. And it slowly went to the point when we realized that we hired back office people, overhead workers who are not really active in producing stuff, but thanks to their work and activity, we managed to spend time with doing structures in the company, lots of things. It was a quite early phase when we started to really take seriously the capacity planning, because it was clear we had many projects coming in. Having 10 or 15 resources, how to promise something to the client when it is just not 100% sure that you're going to do it. So it's a tentative offer, and then you promise another one the same date, and then you overbook the office. You cannot do the both. And we learned these things, how to handle it, and use systems to structure in a good way. And slowly we actually build up this back office part. But it was always like this, we had 10 people, and we started to reach that level when you need that structure on that for that many people, and then we grow, and this structure was behind, and we didn't have certain things which should have done. We should have done it like a proper numbering for projects. so we can, and then we improve that, and then we build up our 3D model asset library, and then something, and then we reached again like, okay, this is a structure which is comparable with the size of the amount of people, and this kind, and it was always like this. And usually the back office part was always behind, so we had bigger capacity and less, enough structure behind it to support that, and it was always behind, so it was always like this because of the growth, of course.
I'm curious. Can you tell me what kind of back office department you have right now, which are not Archviz, and the other Archviz teams? Are they somehow structured now? Do you have like project leader? How it's structured, the productive part, and what are the teams you have on the side, which are just, as you said, administration?
So okay, I would say there is five legs. Yeah, 5 legs in brick, and most of them are equally important strategically, different size but equally important strategically, as running brick as a successful business. And one of them is, of course, the production, and 50 people in that's a biggest chunk in terms of people, in terms of a lot of things. That's I would say, the engine. That's what you probably see a lot, that people talk about, that the outcome of that work, and there is other 4 or 5 parts of brick. One of them is which is the equally important, is sales and commercial. We have 4 internal sales expert, key account managers, who are their job is to generate and also handle inquiries from clients, mostly receiving inquiries, because we don't have to luckily generate that much, so we are not doing really like these shark hunting sales. It's not necessary yet, maybe later it will be, but yeah, we receiving inquiries, and then we negotiate it through, we put it in the capacity planning. There is lots of sales work still, making the deal, especially for when we are not talking about two images, but a budget of, I don't know, 60,000 euro. That's a different, deal, where you have to negotiate through, like with the movie, with several images and everything. So that's really serious, and you need experts to that, who has the talent to talk properly with the client, do the politics rounds with the clients, treat them well. Because yes, Brick is a production company, but it's super important that this sales approach and client approach should be equally important. Many of the companies struggling with this, that they looking really inside, what's wrong with the client, how stupid they are. And when you have a organization like this, a big one, doing the sales for you, they will bring their motivation to bring more projects and make the clients happy, and they will push the organization and the production people to treat the clients better and sort out situation which wouldn't be sorted out if there wouldn't be if there is no sales inside Brick, because it would be just pushing, I don't know, say that the client is stupid and we won't work them again. And we try to bring this important aspect that client should be super important. It should be client approach as well represented inside the company, and that's why it's also sales is so good. So yeah, sales and commercial, also marketing is in it. If you check our social media, it's better and better, quite active compared, as far as I know, many other companies, and we want to continue that. It's fun for several reasons. We still want to be, recruit talent, and that's needed to sell ourselves as an employer. So one of the reasons for good marketing is to employee branding, basically. The second reason, of course, just building our brand name to show our work to clients, but it's not a direct sales. It's just a brand building. It's not like, okay, here is a 20% discount for visualization today. This is now how we do things, but you can still do brand building towards clients. And the last thing that, of course, we do other things, spin-offs like the academy and the pulse, the software development, and in that case, it's a direct sales channel as well, the social media. And then after the commercial and sales, there is one I call it support, which includes all the things which is needed to have a good control and management control. It includes, of course, the IT, which is super important and strategically super highlighted the activity, and financial control, and also it's a little bit part of the sales, a little bit part of the production, a little bit part of the support part of the brick is capacity planning. We have a dedicated, quiet senior person who is in charge of the planning and risk management of booking projects, follow up changes constantly. If there is a delay, what to put in instead of that, how you can delay other. It's a really sophisticated risk management job to do that. And then the last part is the research and development part, which is actually Attila is doing that job right now in Brick, which is maybe it comes from real 5D story, but it was in like many years ago, it became a strategically super important element for Brick to run a really serious, like 3-4 people only doing research and development in Brick.
Yeah, because it's also important to stay up to date. But I'm curious, these 50 people that are doing the images, are they then divided in clusters or some sort of teams, or it's very dynamic how you switch them on a job?
I think after when we had more than 20 people realized that the artists started to struggle for several things, and one of the reasons was that it was too big pool and they didn't really know each other anymore because there was like so many people. When it was a smaller team, they knew that, okay, that guy know that, I don't know, city traffic plugin, which is necessary for that animation. The other guy know how to do a little bit better color palette for the picture, and they could get to know each other professionally, but also get to know each other like persons, like who is I don't know, behaving well or not, and these kind of things, and making friendship. And for 20 people, it was too big, and it was a little bit messy. So we said that we're gonna do work groups, and we're gonna split these teams. So right now in Brick, we have in Budapest 5 work groups. Each work group contains like 10 people. And each work group is working together all the time. So it's a small company and a big company. Each artist, we don't have a specialization, so it's not like a factory chain production. Each artist is starting the image from the beginning, making the drafts, and finishing till the end. So we have generalists in Brick, not like specialized post-production master or 3D master. No, this is not the way how we approach this. But it's true that each work group working independently, but they have a really similar know-how and mindset and everything. So they do all the time the same quality of projects. There is no, I don't know, weak group and strong group. They are treated equally and equally doing the quality what they do.
And do you have some internal workshops once in a while to, I don't know, bring up to date everybody on some skill or something new, or how does?
A tricky question. Not really. It is also a little bit because of COVID. So we had a couple, not really, strongly like for the whole production. because it was like 50 people teaching them something. It's a little bit, it's a critical mass. It's too much. Somebody wouldn't be interested because they already know it. So we had many in the old days, and nowadays we have a different strategy. Each work group, they're writing their own story. And if they want to have workshops in different form or different topics, they will do it. Of course, there are general things which is scattered as knowledge in the office, and we each work group has a leader, a work group leader, and they have everyday meeting, all the work group leaders, and there are several things where they agree that okay, we should have this whatever, teach to the guys, like let's say, okay, now we have the problem that we have lots of messy files in Brick. Not super messy, so don't compare it maybe what you experience. So these were neat files, but compare what these would like to have. It's still a messy one. And we wrote a script, one of the guys in the office, we call this script Consuela, the cleaner lady. And Consuela, the cleaner lady, job is to check the files if they are clean and automatically fixing the messy layer structure, or if the bounding box is too big and it's not right and it's right down the thing. And then this Consuela is actually, we train the people, but not in a way that we, okay, come to the workshop and listen to me and here is Consuela. But we tell the work group leaders that here's the Consuela, you're going to have to use it with the people and make sure to teach to that 10%. And the way how they doing that, it's up to them. And it's also true that we have a quite active internal system. It's called the workplace. It's the kind of the professional Facebook. So actually, Facebook owns workplace, and we share lots of things there and sharing it. Also, we have we call it Big Brick book, BBB, which it's actually a book which is always increasing, and the basic things and regulations and rules what you should follow as a 3D artist. But these are not like, okay, you have to color balance the image like this, otherwise you're not going to be a good artist. It's not like that. It's just basic, structure that if you work in big, follow this layer structure. Otherwise, you're screwing with the others who are following that, because you will make mess. And these kind of regulations and rules. And this one is always like a bigger and bigger book with many chapters in it.
And I saw now on the website that you have the website, of course, looks amazing, very slick. I like it. But I see that next to the section works and services, in between you have art. And from what I see, those are images from the people who are working at your office, if I'm not wrong. And this is sort of a way to, I don't know, do you give your people time to make some extra images so that also externally the people can get a little bit of an insight of who is working at Brick and what kind of sensibility they have, or how this art gallery you created works like?
I think it's hard to determine the purpose of this. I think it can be many, purposes, like business purpose, why we did that. I can tell you the story of that. It's fun. It's just we made because for example, for me, I'm doing CEOing job most of the time. Nowadays, I'm totally out from production. I'm not even doing quality controlling anymore. Till last year, I did some. The year before, in 2019, I was still active sometimes as quality controller. Before that, I was sometimes leading project and project managing. But doing this work as a CEO, I'm still a creative person. I want to create. So what I realized, I started to do these doodles at home, non-commissioned, not really Archviz job, but with the same skill set and know-how. And I did many of these. And also our creative director was doing some experimental stuff, digital stuff, and then we realized that we already have like a couple of pictures which would be cool to share. So on this workplace, what I mentioned you, this intranet, we made a group which is called My Life After 6 p.m. And then we said that, okay, if you have a non-commissioned work or even a commissioned work and you're proud of it and it didn't happen in Brick, but you want to share it and inspire others, you are free to go. And it was like booming, and it turned out that, okay, one of the guys in his free time is doing hyper realistic paintings and started to share that, and then others was into the Lego and sharing stuff. And it happened that it was also inspiring me to do just simply non-commissioned digital art. I'm doing that nowadays constantly, and that's my creative side, and still I'm loving it. It's much better fun than doing architecture work, commission work, architecture visualization work. And it's inspired me as well and everyone, and it became like a lot of images, a lot of cool stuff what we could share, and we just said, okay, it should be shared, why not? And that's the reason why it's there. It's so simple, but of course it's about building the brand again, showing our artists if they do non-commissioned kind of fine digital contemporary route, what they are capable of, which is also a show of the clients, but also, of course, it's a branding stuff. And we're really proud of that. And it's also, again, inspires me and I think many artists in Cybrick as well to do this kind of work. I just received a big thank you from Mohammed, one of our really good colleague, and because we just uploaded his latest projects on this collection, he was super, thankful, and it just feels good. It feels good for them. It's motivation for them, and what we decided that actually from now on, every month we're gonna showcase and introduce one of our artists, showcase like their non-commissioned work side as well. Maybe do the podcast if we can do. We never did that, but maybe do even a talk with them, a short one. And I think that's fun. That's also like we make them engaged a little bit more, that they are visible, not just a brand of Brick. And yeah.
Maybe I can suggest, maybe you can do like once a year the award of the art section. I don't know, based on what? Maybe based on, I don't know, social media likes or something like that. Because the images I'm seeing on the website are really, really cool and like really creative. I saw the Lego guy with the car that's actually scaled up to a human size and drives around. And the thing that it's hyper realistic, it's so dope. And there are a lot of cool images. I suggest to people to I'm just gonna put a link to this exact portfolio in the description of the episode so that the people can go just below and click and see all
it's super colorful, because it's also there like in Brick, we're doing the music composing in-house. One of our colleague who is actually the operating officer, chief operating officer in Brick. He's amazing music composer and pianist. So many of the movies under the movies, this was composed by us, tailor made for that movie, and many of his composed music, it's here. Also among the picture, lots of photographs as well, and other different crazy, not just visualization projects, graphic work, graphic design, drawings and everything. So it's a little bit more colorful. It is hard to say that, okay, this year that's the winner, because you comparing different art forms, which is maybe not comparable, and it doesn't make any sense for me, but yeah. So but I like it's colorful. I love it that it's not just 3D digital things. So yeah.
Nah, actually, it looks way crazier and interesting than the usual architectural images. And what then? More thing that I've noticed that I would have noticed the first time I went to your website, but there wasn't yet. It's the Brick Academy. I see that there is an academy that has started. When did you start this academy, and what is it about? What do you do there?
It's actually we started two years ago as an academy. The reason why we started it because at that time when we hired like lots of people, we realized that we started to run out of artists in Budapest who was willing to come here, and we started to hire people from abroad, which was fun. Today, more than 50% of the employees are not Hungarian. We have people from 22 different countries, which is fun, a super international, diverse team, and we love it. We celebrate that. But one of the aspects of these changes was that we realized that we're not going to find senior people on the market. They bring to Hungary from Berlin, offer them, I don't know, an Eastern European salary and make them stay based on this. And we started to see that we're shifting to more like hiring junior people and train them and improve them super quickly. And we had really big success quite early in this to hire a junior one, but realizing that still the guy has a good eye for talent for compositions and color palettes, and we realized that quite quickly we could train the guy, and they became senior artists within like 1 year or 2 years in break with that surrounding what they have around us, and it's actually in our vein from the beginning, and it's not really a bullshit. This is how brick works, that we really, everyone is helping like each other and try to improve each other. And I know it's like this in every company, but this was from the beginning a super important and key of the success, that we could do this properly. And it became so common that we said that this should be more like, let's call it an academy, and then if we hire someone, then firstly that person should be in the academy and finish that academy, and after that we can say if we hire that person or not. And firstly it was free totally, but there was like so much interest, and not just for doing the just to come here to work with us and participate in the academy as a, I don't know, basically it was a free school internship kind of thing, but they didn't have to work. We had the program to give them knowledge, and that's it. And then we said that if there is a business opportunity, why shouldn't we do it? And then we said that let's do a for-profit story from this, and then now it still have a double mission. One of them is to make cool courses and share knowledge, and maybe make a little money from it as a spin-off of Brick, but also for recruitment. So if we find a good talent and they're willing to come, after that after they finish the course or masterclass, we can offer them a job if they are interested, and still we can recruit from these courses. But of course, this is already a paid for-profit part of Brick, and we have ambitions to basically do a spin-off from Brick and do a school, not just in Archviz but other areas. So we will have more and more several different courses. It's important that in Brick we have the core activity, but in 2016, for example, we established another company together with Attila and the third guy. They're doing really well. It's another company, but it's a spin-off, grown out from Brick, and it's a really good company doing infographic maps. And it's grown out from Brick, and we have the school as well, which is the ambition is to have another company brick behind it, but actually it's a separate business and not related anymore to brick. And that's the ambition with the academy as well. So we look for these business opportunities and we want to grab them. Maybe we will fail sometimes, maybe not, but we will try to build something more. Yeah.
What are the classes, the classes you're offering, these masters or these courses you're offering in the Brick Academy? Are they aimed for complete beginners or they aim for someone that already has some skills and wants to get some extra definition in those skills?
It's not for totally beginners. I think that's not to start with us in Brick for beginners is not the best idea or investment. But we have 3 different courses now. Of course, now we switch all of them to online, so we don't do any on location courses. Before that, we did only on location courses, and probably we will bring back also keep the online and also bring on location courses. And right now we have 3, but we're going to have more types. One of the courses is a 7 days long post-production course. Actually, it has this marketing name, but in reality, it's about that we're teaching them how to effectively doing drafts, because that's one of the key momentum in our production, how we can effectively creating drafts, super cool drafts within 2-3 hours. Of course, sometimes with massive post-production matte painting work, and we teach that. So it's not just having a raw render and put color balance and put a cutout on it. It's more like an effective way how you can do drafts with Photoshop or with the help of Photoshop plus 3D Max and V-Ray in the early phase of the project. And that's the goal of that course. Usually more experienced people joining to this course, not really experienced one, but not with zero knowledge. And we have an animation course, which is also for not for juniors. So actually it's required to have a certain amount of knowledge in 3D Max, V-Ray, and we teach how, what we do there is basically create together a nice flight through animation during these 8 days of work, rendering out, and do it from choosing the right camera movements, storyboard, everything till the end, rendering out. We render out in our render farm or on Amazon, and finalize the movie together, the whole team, that 8 person who is participating in this. It's pretty cool. I think we shared one of these videos. It's amazing. Actually, it's better than the original what we did in Brick. And then the last one is a little bit bigger chunk, and it's more for juniors, but not super juniors, people with a little bit less experience. Is the intensive architecture visualization course, which is a 1 month long intensive course, full-time mentoring, a complex, covering everything. The approach, what we do, the 3D part, the technical knowledge, and also the artistic fundamentals. And the ambition of that at the end of this course, we have usually also an exam. If someone is interested, they can take the exam, and then we would hire them. Right now, it's actually, this course is an ongoing course. We are in the 2nd week of that, and on Friday, I'm going to have a review on the images, what they did in the 2nd week. There is a mentor who is the good cop, and usually I come in as a bad cop and ruining their motivation with the input, what I say.
Well, this podcast will get out after that, so, and they will hear maybe later your role. No, it's amazing to understand so much behind of the scenes of a company like yours, because I think that this is the interesting part, the powerful part of this podcast, is that we get to have a little bit side view, which is maybe a little bit untraditional. It's not like polished as the media, the articles that you can find online. you get a 360-degree view of the company. And I think it's fascinating how what you have made me think about the whole conversation. There is a book, it's called Real Artists Don't Starve, I think it's called, the book, which explains how artists are supposed to make money. And I really love that all the creativity is structured in such a business way, and that you do also these spin-off activities as the academy, as some software developments also.
Yeah, that's Pulse.io. I promise that you'll lot to have a little part on this in this podcast. If this
yes,
that.
you can say something about that too. That's interesting too to me.
I don't want to make like an advertisement. Maybe this academy stuff was also too much advertisement, so you can.
No. It's not advertisement. It's completely fine because it's part of what you do. It's part of what you do.
Yeah. So this Pulse is just. What happened is that I mentioned this R&D, research and development group. What Attila started to do in I think in 2016, yeah, and it was the purpose of that group is to create scripts and help in the production process to speed up the production things and improve the pipeline with scripts. What happened actually that some of the artists who was has a little knowledge in coding and scripting in Max, they wanted to do this, and it was a good match that we needed this. But slowly it went in a way that we ended up developing a render manager. So instead of using Deadline for a whole office, we developing a render manager for really uniquely to our purposes. And then we developed a quite complex scene management plugin for 3D Max, and also post-production plugin or Photoshop plugin for Photoshop to update, the iterations of the renders in complex Photoshop files. And then we realized that when we showed this, for example, in D2, when we were speakers in D2, there were lots of interest in that. Oh yeah, I cannot use Deadline. It's maybe too expensive or too complicated for an office like me. And there was lots of interest in it. That can we give it to them? Is it free? Is it? And it was just an internet tool, and we saw a possible business opportunity. And actually today, Pose is a startup company in a seed phase. So it's already selling seeds. We are making money little, so invested a lot, and now is the time to make the profit and get back the money what we invested. So it's in a seed phase. It's still under the roof of Brick, and is still under legally under Brick, but actually we controlling it as a separate company, even if it's legally is the same, and now it's making profit, which is great. But it's still a startup, so we need to see how we will end up in there. But we already have lots of happy users, which is a great experience. And probably the outcome of this is the same story what I said to the academy, the ambition to have a separate company independently from Brick, and it will be a software development company grown out of Brick. That's the ambition.
And one last spin-off you've mentioned to me, it's I don't know if it's the correct pronunciation, Egit, which is connected with the real estate market too.
Yeah, I mentioned it, I think, a little bit earlier already. That's actually grown out quite early from Brick. We established that company also with Attila and a third person, a good friend of mine, and they are a decent, moderately successful company with 6-7 people doing infographic maps for clients in the USA for real estate developers. It's not really a high-end stuff, but again, a little success spin-off of Brick, what I really like, because it's really nice to see these opportunities where we can make a little opportunity and give work for 6-7 people additionally, and make, I don't know, my friend also happy owning that company, and that's his life now. And that's nice. That's I like, and that's also exciting because you started to do something which is not just doing the stuff what you are interested in professionally, because that's your profession, and you repeating it, and you maybe earn money in it, but also making opportunities and new business. And I'm interested in that. That's cool. So yeah, that's the third spin-off of Brick.
So cool. So many things. I love that you have created this sort of branches, and that's I think it's important to differentiate the business incomes, because you never know what can happen, and to be in different fields, it's never good to put all the eggs in one basket, so to say. I want to ask you one thing that will be the question that's valuable for all what we said so far. Because I can feel that you have been always very passionate about what you do. You started very early on. You started your own company. You grew it. Now you're starting to changing fields. How much work it is behind all of this? Because when we talk about it, it sounds all so easy, so flawless. I started Brick. I did Brick bigger. I started this other company. Just sum up, what is the amount of workload and stress that's in behind you in this? What was your lifestyle behind all this year until you became established?
It was a lot. I have lots of gray hairs, and of course, lots of, I think, I don't want to go to the details, but I paid the price of that lot of work because of my health. So it's not, it's, if I could think through it, I would really consider it if is it worth it. And I know it's crazy to say this because it's I really love where I am now, but it had some consequences to my health, which is you cannot turn back that, and that's super important. Fortunately, my wife was always patient and supporting me all the time. So I never had to say that, okay, because of my job, my family life is ruining or something. So that part is super happy, and happy married with two really cool little kids, really bad ones, but really cool kids. But it had some consequences to my health. And I think what I regret, the only thing from this story, that I was a little bit overloaded, and that went to affect my health, which is not good. So yeah, I can see this both the worst, that life and work balance, and yeah. But when you are in that really motivated state, you're not gonna stop.
You're kind of obsessed,
Yeah.
get obsessed.
And of course, nowadays I'm working much less, or I work a lot actually, but not this like working like till middle of the night and then get up early, so not like that. So it's still really intensive, but really different. So still I can relax, and it's not that crazy anymore, but it's a must. It's not, it's too risky to continue this crazy work in terms of like how many hours you work, or how intensive it is. So yeah, it's a little bit, that part is hard. And yeah, I had lots of gray hairs, lots of big struggling fights, literally working till your nose is bleeding. That also happened not just with me, but with some of my colleagues, which is not a good thing. But this is the price what you have to pay for this, and that's not a joke. And that's a little bit interesting as well nowadays when we hire a young person, and they have a certain expectation how much they have to work, and they are complaining that they have to work overtime, and we ask, oh, that's not good. But we are not sure it's overtime because we don't see, like, can you confirm what's the overtime? It's like 30 minutes every day, and it's like, what the fuck? It's it's a little bit different expectation what we had at that time when when we had to work, you know, in the competition for an architect, and I worked 48 hours in a row. So nowadays, actually, the younger generation has a little bit different expectation, like how much is this life work balance, and that's all right. You know, I'm not fighting with this, and I accepting this is just, you know, also me. And for example, Martin, you know, I mentioned his name. He's our creative director. He's also pissed off, like, but when I was young, like that guy, I worked day and night, and it was crazy. And what is this? And yeah, it's different now, and I think that's okay. That's good. It's just we had to really literally sweat blood to you know, do this and work super heavily.
This is why the question come from me, because I'm the younger generation. So I think we're just smarter. We saw what of pain in the ass was for you, so we were like, we're not doing this shit, man. We're out of here.
Maybe you're right.
We're out of here.
I'm paying this price now, and let's see how long I will live. Hopefully long, but yeah. So
yeah, man, like this is why I ask, because like, you know, everything sounds so nice, and it is so nice, and it is so cool, and the everything Brick does, it looks so slick, it's so perfect, so polished. But I also wanted, you know, to ask you this question, because after all these things you told me you do, it's like, okay, I have to ask this so that people knows that it's not like easy to be like, okay, I'm gonna start tomorrow and then it's gonna go up and up and up. No, it means like grinding, and you have to go along with it, because otherwise, to make all the things that you do, all this improvement, all this everything you do, the scripts, the softwares, the books, the offices, it takes, you know, as like I mean, people can go and see, like, people like Elon Musk, he says like great things happens only if a lot of people work together very hard toward that direction to make it happen. And this was the same from your story, what you have told me so far. But I think we covered like every possible topic so far. I think the podcast is so long that I will need to split it into two pieces for the platform. I want to conclude the conversation by asking you right now what kind of things you do aside of work to get inspired on your own. If there is any sort of movies you like to watch, books to read, place you go, what is your little inspiration tradition, or what is something that inspired you a lot, and would you share with us?
You know, it's funny because to say this, leading an architecture visualization company and saying that one of my hobbies is to digital artwork, but yeah, that's true. So that's one of I have a little good workstation and nice Surface Studio, and I drawing a lot, matte paint, speed paint on it. Some of the work is I posting it also in this Art of Brick, and I'm really proud of that. It's not necessarily serious work, but I have fun with it, and that's one of my little place where I have to be sometimes when I'm doing too much managing and not doing that much creative visual work. I'm not saying not doing creative work, but not visual work, and that helps me. So that's one of my hobbies. The other hobby it's that I like drive around and road trips. So I have a little roadster, and that's how I like to push it a little bit. Also, that roadster, and do some cool road trips all around Europe. So I was like road tripping in Austria in this really cool curvy route with the roadster, and it's so fun. I really love that. Yeah, what else hobby? Yeah, and of course, like I don't have free time that much, so this is like little times because what remains is goes to the family, of course. So yeah, and also to the house, because as I said, we build up a really nice family house, and actually it's pretty cool. Just this week, they installed that. They installed a really interesting installation in my living room. This was designed by me. Little experimental, I don't know, architecture. That it's I have this double height in the living room, and I made this net. This net system, and it's actually put in the middle of this double height living room on the ceiling, close to the ceiling, and you can go inside this net and walk around and I don't know, lie in it, and it looks like a playground, but it looks really cool because it looks like a sack, like a spare, but it's actually it's pulled by ropes, and it's a really good architecture, fluid form on levitating above my living room like a black cloud, and that's also that I'm still really interested in experimental architecture, and I did a little bit here and seeing like behind me, when I'm working, this outcome of my design. It's really fun. So, and also I designed the interior design and part of the building itself for this family house, as I have architecture background, and I'm still having fun with that. So maybe if there is be more opportunities like this, I will take and do some interior design as well.
Hey, very happy to hear. Well, then, congratulations of your goals with your new family house, and thank you very much for sharing all this very useful information about the behind the scenes of Brick. So thank you very much, and you're welcome back anytime soon when the podcast is also a little bigger, so you can share further new projects and how things are going.
Cool. Really, thank you for this opportunity. It was really cool to talk with you. So I had fun. I hope I didn't talk that much. I have the tendency to talk too much, but I hope it will be, if you cut it out, the boring part, you can make a fun, useful podcast for this.
No, it's appreciable people who talk a lot. Okay, then. Have a good evening.
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stuff's just like that.
Hey friends, thank you very much for listening to this podcast. You've been amazing. Before we go, I just want to remind you that if you want to support us, you can just go on the creativeinsider.com, where you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter, or you can follow us on our social media channels, which are Instagram at TCI Podcast,
Just like that.
or the LinkedIn page, The Creative Insider. By doing this, you will have a bigger social media presence, which always looks attractive to more and more important guests. And so this is very fundamental. And if you really love what we do and you want to help us doing a better production, just click on the Patreon link below, where you can support us with the wished amount of money you think it's okay for you. It's a monthly subscription, but you can cancel anytime. So thank you very much and have a good week, guys. Bye-bye.
The whole world stops just like that.